Hi, I'm Dave Klein, and this is the Simulate Cybersecurity Newscast. New research this week looks at Okta, a really popular identity access management solution, and three base configurations that need to be changed by everyone who uses it. One, they found out that a low-level app administrator with a very low-level privilege can actually use a SCIM tool, so System for Cross-Domain Identity Management, big mouthful for the word SCIM, to glean all the usernames and passwords in the cross-domain by setting up an HTTP channel, not an HTTPS channel, right? That would be secure and encrypted, but using an HTTP channel to glean all those usernames and passwords. That's one base configuration that needs to be changed. The second one was to, by default, administrator can affect everyone downstream from them, so that needs to be changed. And the third thing was users can edit their names in Okta logs. So you think about obfuscation and trying to say it wasn't me. That's a huge issue. So those logs need to be made read-only as well. So what are my thoughts about this? Identity is so critical for today's cybersecurity hygiene, and tools like Okta make it easier to do that. And so the key here is continue to use tools like this, make things easier for you to run and manage identity access management. But just like everything else, look at those default configurations and see if they're overly permissive. So if you have a pulse, and if you're alive and have your own children or uncle or an aunt, or you're friends with kids, you absolutely know about Neopets. Neopets is this cute little lovable online game where the kids care and feed for different little pets that they buy and purchase and things like that. Well, Neopets was hacked this week, and the hacker claims to have all 69 million PII records of the users of the game, as well as the full source code. And there was a darknet hacker and researcher, Pomperine, who actually asked the hacker to prove it and added another account to the game, and the hacker provided it for them. So it's very interesting. We're following this story, and in fact, it means that they're still embedded into that software and on that website. Look, I checked the Neopet website, and they do have a big disclaimer in the front that said that they've been had, and asked people to change their password, but chances are that won't be enough because they're still in there. This also happened to Neopets back in 2014, and again, in 2014, they got their whole source code and all the users at the time, which was more like 40 million versus today's 69 million. I think the big takeaway here is, as consumers, as parents, or aunts, uncles, or friends of someone who has kids, it's important for us to make a statement to companies like this that you really need to shore up security, especially if you've been totally had a time before, because especially when you deal with kids, this information is really critical to protect. During the pandemic, many of us got used to ordering food through DoorDash or Uber Eats, or going to our favorite restaurant and ordering online and have the food delivered to us. And something that's continuing even to this day. You know, it's something that's a new kind of service that people are used to. Well, this week, a company called Recorded Future found a payment as a service applet used by over 311 restaurants on their websites were suffering and are still suffering, it's still ongoing, a credit card skimming attack. Basically, companies or restaurants that use MenuDrive or HarborTouch or InTouch POS are suffering from a skimming attack where a little JavaScript code runs on the website and steals the person's personal information as well as the credit card information. So what are some of the takeaways from this? I think the biggest thing is the credit card industry has done a really great job in many ways in preventing credit card fraud. You know, we've added a computer chip to the cards to prevent people from using the magnetic strip. If you have, Apple phone or an Android phone, you often are familiar with Google Pay or Apple Pay, another layer of security for yourself. You also have, for the vendors and for the stores, the ability to have what they call tokenization, where they never see your credit card information. They just get a token, and everything's processed back at the credit card provider. I think in this situation here, with websites and these little pay as a service apps, it's going to be important for the credit card industry to really audit and pen test and test these applications to make sure that they're secure for us and our information so we can get some good food. So today marks the 52nd episode of the Simulate Cybersecurity Newscast. I am so tickled pink that we've done this for a year, and we'll continue coming to you every week with news and information. Thank you, everyone. I'm Dave Klein. This is the Simulate Cybersecurity Newscast. We have a few humorous outtakes at the end of the splash screen to celebrate our whole year of doing these newscasts. Take care. Well, the early word gets the bird. Well, the early bird gets the worm. In English, you have the expression, the early bird gets the worm. That often describes cryptojackers when you think of various, all the enemy actor techniques, tactics, and procedures, and bake them and wow.